All sat here at the same time, enjoying each other's company, coming together as a normal group of friends. No worries or cares at the moment. Maybe things are looking up, getting better.
I believe this is the first time we've had this. My grin growing, being filled with a new type of happiness due to my family of friends. This is nice. This is life. I could get used to this.
I feel Mitch's gaze, so I look over at him, who seems to be sharing the same thoughts.
I look once more at X, who is showing a similar look of thoughts.
We have finally made it to this point. I think to myself as my silverware begins to shake atop the plate they sit on, creating clattering noises while broken rocks fall from the cracked ceiling above, landing on my plate of food with rock dust.
Finally made it, I think. Just as the tables between us begin to shake and rattle as the ceiling above cracks open, letting rocks fall onto our plates, all of our faces showing incredible worry and newfound disbelief.
I was wrong.
Spoke too soon.
I rise just as a torpedo-shaped drill comes through from above and pulls back, leaving a dark black hole in the ground that once acted as our roof.
I stand just as everyone else around the table stands. Allie steps closer to X. The ceiling bursts open as it collapses onto the table and the floor around us.
I raise my right hand and push Allie, Rex, and Mitch back into the corner of the kitchen with the table set on its side, blocking them at an angle as a barrier, a wall, protection, as it lines up, cornering them. I raise my other hand to send the cabinets below the sink to fling open, bursting the water pipes, bringing as much pressure out and pushing it up to block the hole that was above us to keep any intruders out.
Suddenly, I'm forced into the corner of the room with Allie and Rex, huddled and trapped by the table we were once at. It is blocking us in a way. I try to move it, but it does not budge. The corners have jarred themselves into the wall and are not loosening. I look up to see X trying to do everything herself. I go to hop over the table, but stopped by Allie, pulling me back. We need to help her. Allie shakes her head, stunned at her hopelessness. Rex comments, "She is right, Mitch. We do not need to get in X's way. She has this right now." I shake my head at his willingness for uninvolvement as well, but notice it is to stay and comfort as much needed, anxious Allie. I look back to watch and wait until I am needed, which is not too much later, because X is up against too many, which honestly should not be a problem for her, considering how many she used to be able to take on. I have seen it.
As I began blocking the tunnel above, I could hear footsteps behind me coming down the hall, stealthy with precision. They have found their way into the observatory and now heading towards us. I step sideways, continuing to hold one hand for the water, and wait as the first soldier walks in and sends him against the far wall of the living room. Suddenly, they all rush in. One by one, I continue to try and keep them away as slowly as possible, but they keep getting closer. I can only do so much, especially in my weaker, vulnerable state since arriving. Finally, one makes it close enough to kick me in the stomach, causing me to land backwards on my back, landing in the now flooded kitchen floor. The water falls on top of me and all around as it falls back into a more even pressure spurting from the broken faucets. As I try to stand, regaining my strength, Mitch jumps out from behind the table, getting in a few hits on a few guards before being stabbed by a tranquilizing bullet. He falls to the watery surface in front of me. I speak to the group, knocking them all back into the hall, and pull my hands up, collapsing the doorway connecting the living room and the hallway, making it impossible for them to pass back through and in that way. I turn to check on everyone, but a little too late. Guards have roped in through the now open cleared tunnel from above and shoot tranquilizers at Rex and Allie that had left their safe place to be at Mitch's side. I raise my hands to push them back up and out, but a second too late. Noticing one of the intruders looks too familiar, I suddenly feel a sting in my left thigh. I look down and pull out a dart that has stabbed me, another tranquilizer, but they know this doesn't work on me. The vial was drained from a silver metallic type residue. Strange, but looks familiar. My leg starts to go numb and I fall over. I continue to raise my right hand, then shot once more, feeling the sting and burn in my right arm. I see a woman and others gather around me as my vision becomes dark and blurred and finally disappearing altogether as a cloth or netting is draped over me. I do not know how long I was out, but it was long enough. "X, wake up!" I could hear distantly all around, but I could not jar my body awake. It was frozen, tired, unmovable. I could not open my eyes, just blackness, like my nightmares.
Finally, after being stuck in darkness, I doubtedly wake, trying to move my arms and hands to rub my head as it aches, and hear jangling of chains. I look up to see next to me Rex and Allie, still passed out, and notice I'm chained by wrists and ankles to the wall. I look around to see where I am and notice X immediately tied to a chair and yell out at her to see if she is awake as well, but no response. Mitch! I look over to my side, Rex shaking his head awake, mumbling my name at my voice. Yes, Rex, it's me. He slowly raises his head looking towards me, stopping at Ellie who is stuck between us against the wall, whispering her name over and over to awaken her. After a few tries, she too begins to shake awake. Unaware in her frightened state, she begins frantically shaking back and forth before Rex can coax her back to reality. She apologizes for the outburst and becomes confused like the rest of us. Where are we, Allie?
I'm not sure, Rex.
She answers as she starts looking around, noticing a now awoken X. Before much more exploration or reaching out to X, we hear another's voice.
Oh no.
Allie mumbles with fear, chains trembling against the wall. I look out in her eyes' direction, stopping at X, who stares the same face of torment as I listen to an echoing laughter full of spite. A body has appeared from the shadows, recognizing the figure immediately as it approaches X.
X. Did you really think I would be unprepared this time and not remember any of your tricks? Followed by laughter immediately, knowing the voice, the evil snicker, the calm composure. But how? I look up at the tall, slender figure that had appeared back at the bunker just before I passed out, and that had been lurking in the shadows here, now stepping out towards me, making herself known.
Eve.